Hello everybody, welcome back to the Limit of Adhesion Season 2. This is round 11 of 12 in the Championship. My name is Gareth, but sadly Jim will not be joining us this week as he has something else to do, and so it will be me on my own this week. Hopefully it won't be too embarrassing and awful for you to listen to. So just a reminder, as always, that you can find our news, reviews and videos at thelimitofadhesion.com, and keep a note of the Drivers' Championship and the Team Championship on there as well. So speaking of the Drivers' Championship, then let's have a look at it now. David Lyon commanding lead out front with 163 points. You can see that he's dropped 1 point, hence the bracketed score of 164 there. Rob Miller on 125 in second, and really needing some kind of a miracle to catch up with Dave, and Gavin Kelly not far behind him, only 4 points behind. And further down you can see Gary Jones on 26 points with Jim Kimberley 10 behind him. Gary looking to get into the top 10 there. Let's have a look at the team's championship now then. And you can see Stupid Aguirre out front where they've been all season long then. 212 points to the Keith Chegwin Memorial Team 190. So both teams could do with a big score in these last two rounds to see if there's any fight left in the team's championship. Williams going very well in P3 where they came up to there a couple of rounds ago. So let's see if they can hang on to that with some big scores coming up. So, as you know, this is a 12-round championship. We drop 3 race scores at the end of the year. So, as you can see, that we have now done 10 rounds, so we are dropping the lowest score of each driver. Now, most drivers have a 0 on their scoreboard, so only Dave is affected, losing 1 point from his Laguna Seca race where he got taken out in the first corner and could only fight back to P10. So this week we are racing at the world famous legendary Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. 7.004 kilometres or 4.3 miles if you prefer old money. 19 corners on this amazing circuit, and here we're going to take a look at our pole lap now. On board the Stupid Aguirre of Gavin Kelly as we start our pole position lap around Spa-Francorchamps. Up ahead of us is David Lyon in the KCMT. Gavin's braking at the 60 metre mark for the La Source hairpin. A nice wide line on the way through. Doesn't worry about going too tight because it's all important for him to stay behind Dave and maximise the slipstream throughout the lap. Up through the gears then as they plunge downhill to the world famous Eau Rouge corner at the bottom of the hill. Gavin takes plenty of curb on the way in and then tries to keep the steering as straight as possible as he comes through Radion and over the top of the crest and onto the Kemmel straight ahead. Now keep an eye on the speedometer in the left hand side of the screen. Gavin is moving out of the slipstream as Dave goes to the right, but watch, Gavin backs out of the throttle and eases down to stay behind Dave, so he's actually sacrificing speed on the straight because he'll gain it later. Here they come then through the Le Combe chicane, right, left, then back onto the power, and they're charging now to the Rivage hairpin ahead of them, which is on the start of the descent down the hill. Gavin brakes at the start of the curb down to second gear, doesn't feel the need to go to first, and then hard on the power then for No Name corner, which is this left-hander now, and then back through the gears. They're really plunging down now, downhill to Pouhon ahead, which is a very tricky braking zone in this car, especially on colder tyres. Ease through the first apex, then hard on the power then through the second one, which is effectively a nothing corner, and now they're on the run to the Fagnes chicane. Again braking as they get to onto the curb, and then take as much corner and curb as you can on the right hand side. Ease off to get the car turned into the left, and then hard on the power now for Paul Frere ahead, braking at the curb once again, and then back onto the power. This is Stavelot, which is just an acceleration zone in the skip, and now he's got the benefit of that slipstream once again as they head up the hill, and this is where it's all important to gain the lap time for Gavin. You can see he's up into 5th gear now as they came past the light pole. Just Blanchimont and bus stop ahead to go. You can take Blanchimont absolutely flat, but look, Gavin backing off slightly, just losing a little bit of speed to make sure he gets that slipstream on the final run to bus stop. Our braking point is slightly obscure, but Gavin gets it slowed down nicely into first gear and turns to the right and then over to the left and out across the line to get a 2 minutes 49.125 for pole position at Spa. Gavin Kelly on pole then for the third time this season, matching Rob Miller's amount of pole positions. David Lyme, feeling a little robbed, is beside him on the front row of the grid. James Garlick continues his recent strong form of qualifying to go third on the grid with Rob Miller alongside him. Then Gary Richards in the second Williams is fifth on the grid with Mark Tranter starting alongside him in sixth. The second Verge of Grip car of Gareth Winslade is on seventh with Paul Dixon, the first of the Alpha Blobbies, in eighth. Stephen Batty is the second Stupid Aguirre in ninth with Gary Jones in 10th position for the KCMT team, and bringing up the rear of the grid is Jim Kimberley with no time set. Here we are on the grid then, ready for the start of this race. Lights go red, engines starting to rise. You can see David Lyon on our left, Gavin Kelly on the right, and here they go then. David Lyon immediately moving over to get into the slipstream of Gavin ahead of him as they're heading down into Eau Rouge for the first time. There's Garlick in third place and Miller behind him, and look at that, Mark Tranter, trademark start, jumping up behind Miller. He's now in fifth place as they head down the Kemmel Straight for the first time. Gavin's immediately going defensive. Dave's to the outside, and there's Garlick sweeping across to pick up the slipstream behind Kelly. They're heading down to Lecombe. Is Garlick going to go to the inside? No, he's switching across to take slipstream from Dave. That's Mark Tranter and Rob Miller fighting behind, and Tranter is through up to fourth place then. Look at Richards, he's going very well behind there. Richards currently running in sixth place then. So here the field come then. Down the hill to Rivage. It's a second gear corner for most of the drivers. Tranter then straight up into third place. He's just deposed James Garlick there out of the podium positions as they come down through No Name for the first time and head down the hill to Pouhon. This is a very tricky corner on cold tyres, as mentioned in the pole lap. So Gavin Kelly out in front, David Lyon behind him, but being pressured really heavily now by Tranter behind him. And we saw at the back there Stephen Batty's fighting with the two Alpha Blobbies of Kimberley and Dixon. So on the way down to Fagnes chicane then, looks like everyone got safely through Pouhon for the first time, which is good to see. And there's Winslade there fighting away with Richards as they come through Fagnes. There's that contact there between the Alpha Blobbies and Batty. Heading down to Paul Frere then. Richard shuts the door on Winslade. That's a nice bit of defensive driving there. But now Winslade is going to have the slipstream as they head up the hill then to Blanchimont. You see out front Gavin Kelly still ahead of David Lyon. Mark Tranter in third place. Surprisingly clean opening lap. This is great to see. Here they come then into Blanchimont. Who's that running wide? That's Garlick running wide then. Safely through though, but just allowing Miller to have a look at him on the inside into the bus stop. Wow, look at how close they all are. And Tranter, what a move there, just deposing David Lyon now. Mark Tranter has gone up to second place. Fantastic racing. David Lyon fighting back then as they come down to the La Source hairpin. This is the first time into this corner, obviously, as we started from the endurance start line, which is halfway down this straight here. Tranter running very wide out of La Source. Getting off track for that. He needs to be careful. 17 off tracks in a race, by the way, and you will get a drive-through penalty. Look at Miller now attacking line as they head down to Eau Rouge. Miller on the outside. There's the inside there for Radion. And wow, both of them off track there. Wow, Kelly off track as well, and Tranter straight into his slipstream. We see Winslade did get past Richards as well. Look, the order is changing all over the place. Mark Tranter now leads the race from Gavin Kelly, who slots in behind him. There's people hunting for slipstream all over the place. So Dixon is the leading Alpha Blobby there, which meant it was Jim Kimberley hunting for the slipstream and attacking Stephen Batty and getting through. So into Rivage once again. Mark Tranter now leading with Gavin Kelly in second place. And they seem to have dropped Garlic and Line. Garlic back up to third. Getting through on the Camel Straight. And that's Winslade now behind Line in fifth place. So he's had a decent opening lap. Down to Pouon then. Tranter, Kelly, Garlic, Line, Winslade, Richards, Dixon. Wow, Dixon running very well in P7. Down to Fanyu. Tranter looking to run and hide a little bit. He's almost got a second gap on Kelly behind him. And then nearly a 2-second gap to James Garlic in third. Looks like those two are just making a break for it then. So this is where the car is so critical. As they come out of Paul Frere and Stavelot, they're going to get a massive slipstream up the hill. So it's almost beneficial to be the car behind rather than the one punching the hole in the air. So will that help Gavin Kelly in second place? You can see he's gained a couple of tenths on Tranter ahead of him. Line looking at... Oh, contact there. That's not good to see. Kimberley falling down the order, and he's got a wheel off and he's into the barriers. He collided there with Stephen Batty. Hopefully we get a replay of that later on. Winslade attacking Line now into the bus stop, locking the brakes. He's going round the outside, gets the inside line. Oh, bit of a bump on the way through, bit of a touring cars pass there, but he's made the move. And Richards following him through. And Dixon. Look at that, Line being shuffled down the order, but he's fighting back on Dixon as they come to La Source once again. Winslade in a bit of a Williams sandwich. And has Line made the move? Still on the inside of Dixon. This is going to be an amazing battle as they come down to Eau Rouge. Yeah, we're going to see what happens here. So Line, is he looking to the inside, or is he going to try and take the move on the Kemmel Straight, just to use that enormous slipstream advantage? Like a big hoover dragging you down the straight and slingshotting you past. Here he goes then. To the outside. So we're looking from the Lecombe chicane that they're approaching. We can see Winslade going to the inside then of Garlic and getting through. And is his team... Is Richards going to try and get through his teammate as well? Wow, Line did not get through Dixon now. That's unusual. I would kind of thought he would just get slingshotted past with that slipstream. But he's still in P7 then. Now we see the leaders going through. So Winslade has now somehow found his way up to P3. Under attack from the two Williams behind him. Line doing, well, all the way out on the curb there with Dixon on the other side of the track. So both trying to avoid each other, it looked like. And now into Pouon. That's Line attacking. This is going to be a brave pass if he can pull this one off. So side by side through Pouon. And Dixon hangs on round the outside. What a super drive these two are having right now. And Dixon gets out the corner ahead. But into Fanyu. That's Dave Line on the inside. But not getting through. Dixon just a bit braver on the brakes there. And we can see there's Miller with Batty hard on his heels. So those two currently running 8th and 9th. Jim Kimberley in the pits. In fact, it looks like Jim's probably out of the race at this point after his big accident on the way out to Blanchimont with Batty earlier on. And we see Line now really in the slipstream with Dixon. Is he going to make it through on the way to Blanchimont? James Garlic getting past Winslade ahead of him. But, oh, what's happened? Oh dear. That's Garlic spinning round to the inside. It looks like Winslade ploughed into him. I think, presumably a net code with poor James's car just seemed to disappear there. Huge puff of smoke out the back. Yeah, that seems a bit terminal. So James Garlic now in the pits for repairs. And once again we've got Mark Tranter from Gavin Kelly, Gareth Winslade running in P3, Gary Richards having a storming drive in P4 now. On board with David Line still behind Paul Dixon. Oh, a bit of a lock up and a slide for Dixon in the apex of La Source. And that's going to help David Line get the run on him down the hill. And we can see Miller is reeling these two in ahead of Line to the inside as they go to Eau Rouge. This is going to be a brave move. No, Dixon just stays ahead. I thought we were going to see our LOA version of Fernando Alonso and Mark Webber from a few years back. That was when Webber was driving for Red Bull and Fernando was in the Ferrari. Miller pulling to the inside, must have got a slow down penalty. And here we are with the front two then. Gavin Kelly back in front, but he's run wide and Mark Tranter steams through. Presumably Kelly got a slow down as well there as he bumped onto the grass. And there behind him we can see Winslade and Richards right on his tail. Line still behind Dixon then. This is them coming through Rivage on the plunge down the hill. Quite incredible how much this track drops down this hill. All the way through Pouhon and then until you get to Paul Frere, and then it starts the long climb back up to the pits area. Line to the inside, Dixon, nice chop across the nose. Not coming through this time. Batty now on the back of David Line, closing him down. So here's those three. Oh, just cutting now. This is Winslade and Gary Richards ahead of them in third and fourth places. And they are now coming into Paul Frere corner, named after the famous Belgian racing driver and journalist, passed away a few years ago. And then coming out of the second part, which is still called Stavelot. Both parts used to be called Stavelot, and it's now just Paul Frere and Stavelot. So this is our leaders coming through Blanchimont. That's Mark Tranter in front, with Gavin Kelly in second place. So much action, hard to believe this is only the third lap of the race. But I'll say, obviously a very long track, as we say. Gavin Kelly, fastest lap of the race so far, 2:49.999. Benefiting from that lovely slipstream he's getting from Mark Tranter ahead of him. So there's our top 7 and top 8 with Miller coming around the corner behind. And through La Source and the run down the hill we go again. And that's, oh dear, Richards just saw, I think he clipped the wall on the inside and he's just, that's his front wing sitting on the outside of the track there. Hopefully he hasn't got too much damage. Line again to the inside of Dixon. Here he goes then. He's been practicing this move for a couple of laps. Is he going to make it stick this time? Yes. Very nice move, Dave. Well done. And look at that, Stephen Batty then trying to make it a double position drop for Paul Dixon. And can he get Line as well? Dixon slots in behind Batty, trying to slingshot back past Line. Well, we're going to go 3 wide into Lecombe. Somehow, Paul Dixon has come out of that ahead of both Stephen Batty. Oh, a clip there. You see that Batty's car just skipping sideways a bit as he made contact with the back of Paul Dixon's car. I don't think he was expecting Dixon to hang on the apex like that. All three of them getting past poor Gary Richards, who's plummeting down the order, so he definitely damaged from that tap of the wall in La Source and suffering some damage. We can see Gavin Kelly back out front. Both the leaders off track into Pouhon. And that's Winslade reeling them behind, free from being chased by Gary Richards as he was for the last lap. What a frenetic race this is. We've had more action in these 4 laps than we had in the entire of the scuba race last week. So on board with Mark Tranter then. Through Paul Frere, through Stavelot, and on the run up the hill. But there is his shadow, Gavin Kelly. Here we've got Dixon, Batty right behind him. Batty going to the inside. This is on the run to Blanchimont. Line behind these two. Stephen Batty running round the outside and oh no, that's not good. Dixon just opening the steering, and you can't do that with a car on the outside of you. And oh god, Stephen Batty's car there absolutely totaled by that. That's a terrible accident. So Dixon and Batty back into the pits for repairs. Wow, Winslade setting the fastest lap, so he's obviously benefiting from this tow with these two ahead of him. And trying to have a look at Kelly into the source. So the top three then, 7 seconds clear of David Lyon, who somehow recovered to P4 after his up and down the grid adventures in the last few laps. Miller back to 5th then, with the deposed Williams drivers, Dixon and Batty, all falling out of the running. Such a shame, because all of them were having great races before that. Kelly to the inside of Tranter then as they run down the Kemmel Straight once again. Kelly into the lead. Can he hold on to it this time and not run wide? You can see Mark already trying to think about a way back through. Hanging on this time. So we've got a verge of grip 2-3 at the moment, then with Winslade right behind his teammate of Mark Tranter ahead of him as they come through Rivage. You really need to drive in VR just to get a sense of just how steep these hills are on this track. It is quite a spectacular elevation changes around here. So here's the podium all into Pouhon together then. Kelly runs wide, that's Tranter nipping onto the inside. So Winslade going to try and follow him through to the outside of the Fagnes chicane. No, he slots in behind Kelly, so Mark Tranter back into the lead. Kelly out down to 2nd, Winslade in 3rd. Oh, that's a brave move on the inside of Paul Frere. I expect Kelly's got that one covered though. And indeed he has. So Kelly out of the corner ahead of Winslade, but Winslade with the slipstream as they head up to Blanchimont. So we can see on the driver tracker there, we've got this 3 in a close battle, then we've got Lyon and Miller running quite nicely together. And then on their own, you've got poor Richards heading down the Kemmel Straight on his own. Jones on his own in a bit of a lonely race. Winslade to the inside of Kelly. Oh, was there contact there? Oh dear. Oh, that's Winslade with the car. Oh no, it must be a broken drive shaft. There must have been a little contact. Probably should have left more room for Kelly in the bus stop there. So Winslade now in the pits and down to 9th. That's going to be a long, frustrating repair time for him, and that could have been his 2nd podium. So gutting. So David Lyon has somehow managed to find his way back up to P3 then. And he's got 4 seconds to find to get back to Gavin Kelly, who is still running in P2. Rob Miller with a new fastest lap of the race then, 2:49.651. And there is Lyon and Miller. So our front 4 can all still be seen on the Kemmel Straight together. The question is, can Miller and Lyon work together to get themselves back up to Tranter and Kelly ahead of them? Be a fine piece of driving if they can. Gary Jones now running up in P5. He's having a very lonely race, as you can see on the driver tracker, but he's making it work for himself. That's going to be a great haul of points for the KCMT if he can bring that home. Tranter really throwing the car around as he comes out of Rivage and into No Name. And now charging down the hill to Pouhon once again. So Winslade out of the pits in P6, and there he is. We're using the endurance pit lane, so he exits onto the Kemmel Straight. But he's a long old way back from Gary Jones ahead of him. Interesting to see if he can do anything about that, or if he's doomed to a And a lonely drive for the last 4 laps of the race. Obviously a short amount of laps with such a long track, but wow, this has flown past. So here's Line and Miller in P3 and P4. Can Miller do something about Line ahead of him and get onto the podium? We shall wait and see. And they're now on the long run up to Blanchimont once again. James Garlick, you can see, has just deposed Dixon, and here they are. Oh, big lock up there. Dixon fighting back on the inside. So this is Rivage, and then No Name and Dixon. What a great drive round the outside. So Dixon trying to recover some points after his earlier accident with Batty, but I'm afraid that will be a trip to the stewards for him. To wait and see what the outcome of that is, and don't forget to check into the limitofadhesion.com to find out if any warnings or penalties applied after the race. So Dixon still leading Garlick. These two are in P7 and P8. And like 20 seconds back from Winslade ahead of them. So it shows you how many drivers have had a visit to the pits and been towed in this race. If Winslade presumably had quite a short tow because he was so close to the pits. So quite fortunate there. Whereas where was Garlick? He was out of Blanchimont, so he had a much longer tow, I guess. Teammate Richards running 9th place. Oh, look at this, and Miller to the outside and attacking Line. And as they go into Lecombe, Miller up into P3. But he really needs to be winning this race if he wants to keep his title fight alive. And ideally for him, he kind of needs Dave to not be anywhere near that podium. Just a reminder then that if Dave finishes where he is, and if more importantly, if Rob finishes where he is, then the championship will be over and Dave will be crowned our Season 2 champion. So here they are on the run down to Pouhon. Miller in P3, Line in P4, taking a lovely wide line onto the curb on his way in. And all the curve on the way out. That's nice. Rob Miller still with the fastest lap of the race, down to a 2:49.0 now. That was his last lap. I imagine this lap might be even quicker with that lovely tow he had on line down to Lecombe. Just whether he loses any time because of defending, because Dave is fighting back as they go into Paul Frere. Wow, that's super wide. That might even be an off track there. So Garlick then, has he finally got past Dixon? Yes, he has, into Lecombe. So that's James Garlick up to P7 then. 3.5 laps of the race to go. Mark Tranter still out in front, and a 1.7 second gap now to Kelly behind, running in P2. So Kelly needs to get his foot down if he wants to make a fight of this towards the end of the race. It's not over yet. He's still in slipstream range, but he's gonna be losing slipstream if he unless he can push on. Going slightly faster than Mark that last lap. But as expected, a new fastest lap then for Rob Miller, a 2:48.5. That is very quick indeed. We're still looking at the battle then for P7 and P8. These are the closest two on track. Oh no, here we are then. This is Miller and Line on the run down to Eau Rouge. Miller ahead of Line then. There's Eau Rouge. This is Radion pointing up to the skies. You pop over the top and onto the Kemmel Straight once again. Under 3 laps to go then. I hope everyone's been enjoying the action on this tremendous race as much as I have. As we see these two charging together as they come down the straight line looking for a way past. And into Lecombe they go. We can see Kelly ahead of us. So these two really working together to try and close that gap down to As we see Line ahead then, and into Rivage. That's Line back onto the podium once again. 2.5 laps of this race to go though. It's not all over yet. Garlic and Dixon posting personal best laps then. A bit further back. And we charge down the hill to Pouhon. Is Miller going to wait until he gets through these next few corners and back onto the run up to Blanchimont? Use the slipstream power. Nice to see an alliance sign though. Do you remember when they used to be the main sponsor on the BMW Williams back in the day? For one Pablo Montoya. Classic times. So here we are, we're on board with Paul Dixon then of the Alpha Blobby team. We've got James Garlick ahead of us and a huge slipstream as we go down the Kemmel Straight towards Le Combe once again. Dixon finding his way through with that slipstream. Back up into P7. Well, this battle's just going to run and run to the last few laps of the race then. And we can see on the driver tracker that Miller and Line, well, you can't even see Line because of they're so close together on track, but they are closing in on Tranter and Kelly ahead. We could have a pretty exciting scrap for the end of the race if we carry on much longer. Dixon and Garlic then, down to Pouhon once again. Look at the way they have to throw the car into the corner there. Here's our leaders. Line still ahead of Miller, but wow, both of them massively off track there. And Miller's exactly where he wants to be though, because he is going to have all that lovely slipstream as they go down the Kemmel Straight. Straight after Eau Rouge. Here we are then, there's Kelly still chasing Tranter, still with that 1.7, 1.8 second gap. Hasn't managed to close it down just yet, and they're both running roughly the same lap times. Miller pulling out of the slipstream of Line. Is he going to be in P3 by the time we get to Le Combe? Yes, he is. And all the time these guys are fighting though, they are letting Tranter and Kelly stay ahead in the front. So it looks like this could just be the battle for P3 and P4 rather than a four-way scrap for the win, which would be tremendous to watch. We'll remember how amazing the Nürburgring was when we had Miller, Batty, Line, Kelly, all of the four of them fighting for the lead and leading the race at various times. That was a tremendous video. If you haven't watched it, I do recommend you go and watch that one. It's an absolutely brilliant race to watch. You can find that on the limitofadhesion.com website, or you can find it on our YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe as we see Garlic skidding his way through Radion and into the slipstream of Dixon as they go onto the Kemmel Straight once again. This could be yet another change for P7. Garlic to the inside. And he gets the move done before we get there. Wow, Dixon really fighting him as they come through there. No way through in Malmedy. Down to Rivage then, almost too wide. Garlic holds on to the place. 1.5 laps to go though, so anything could still happen. And we can see out front that Tranter and Kelly both still posting personal best laps. Not fast enough to get the fastest lap off of Rob Miller back in P3 though. And the gap now 2.5 seconds at the front, so I wonder if that is game over. We are on the final lap of the race. And I think that might be a mountain that's too large for Kelly to climb. 2.5 seconds in one lap. Don't think that's going to be doable for him. we're on board with the KCMT of David Lyne, who in less than a lap's time is probably going to be confirmed as our Season 2 champion, and he's in the wheel tracks of P2 in the championship, Rob Miller, who's currently P3 in the race. Make that P4, Lyne to the outside, and he's going to steam into Lecombe first, or is he? Look at that, Miller fighting back onto the inside. This is tight, oh! Miller loses the back end, makes contact with Lyne. Are they both still running? Yep. No drive shaft failures for these guys. Maybe Winslow's car's just a bit too damaged from other battles. Probably needs a new machine to stop having these drive shaft failures. Miller then, P3. But as I say, don't think it's going to be enough for the championship with Lyne right behind him in P4. So just a few corners to go then till the end of the race. We can see that Tranter and Kelly both safely through Pouhon and charging down to Fagny, which is what Miller and Lyne are now doing. Look at that, Kelly in the same shot as these two in certain situations. There's Mark Tranter, our race leader, as he has been for quite a few laps now. And he comes out of Paul Ferrer and sets off, wow, super wide from Kelly there. He's giving it everything he's got, trying to get that win. But I don't think it's going to be enough. And Lyne too, taking super wide line. That was probably an off track as he tries to get back on the podium against Rob Miller. This is still one big slipstream opportunity though as you go to the bus stop. Final corner of the track, so despite the start line being on the way to Eau Rouge, the finish is in the normal place as they come out of the bus stop. And we see Tranter and Kelly are in the bus stop now. These two fighting behind. Looks like Miller has done enough then. So, Mark Tranter wins at Spa-Francorchamps, his 4th win of the season. Gavin Kelly comes home in 2nd place. Rob Miller 3rd and on the podium. But our Season 2 champion, I think, is now definitely going to be David Lyne from the Keith Chegwin Memorial Team. As we cut back to P7 and P8, again, this is the Garlick-Dixon battle that's been running for a few laps now, and it's been tremendous racing between these two. And we wait for Gary Jones, Gareth Winslow, James Garlick, Paul Dixon to come home. Gary Jones does come home, so 4th and 5th for the Keith Chegwin Memorial Team. That's a great haul of points for those guys. Interesting to see whether that puts them any closer to Stupid Aguri in 1st place in the team's championship. So Garlick and Dixon through Blanchimont one last time. Is Dixon going to have a run into the bus stop? This is his last opportunity if he wants to get that 7th place. Winslow finishes in P6. Decent haul of points, but he's going to be regretting that wasted podium opportunity. So James Garlick holds on to P7. Paul Dixon comes home P8. And Gary Richards, the last car running, as both Batty and Kimberley retired. So, final classification then for our round 11. Mark Tranter is our winner with Gavin Kelly in P2, Rob Miller in P3. Then David Lyne and Gary Jones for the KCMT, 4th and 5th. Gareth Winslow, the 2nd Virgin Group in P6, James Garlick in 7th. Then we've got Paul Dixon in 8th and Gary Richards, the last car to complete the race. Stephen Batty retiring after that huge accident in Blanchimont, and Jim Kimberley also retiring after another big accident in Blanchimont, who came home in 11th. Let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship then after that all-important race. David Lyne now 25 points clear and is officially the champion of Season 2. So congratulations to Dave. Rob Miller in 2nd place. Mark Tranter in 3rd and ahead now of Gavin Kelly. So he has the opportunity of a 3rd place to go of his championship last season. Gary Jones gets up to P10 in the championship, deposing William Bibby, who's down to 11th. Shame we haven't seen him for a while. He was a fantastically quick driver. And let's take a look at the team's championship then. We can see that Stupid Aguri still a commanding lead over Keith Chegwin Memorial Team. It's not all over yet though, so they do stand a chance of taking the title of the KCMT when we get to the final race, but it's not looking likely. And we can see that Verge of Grip have deposed Little and Large, with Tony Hankin being away on his Mercedes F1 duties for once again. So they've been handicapped with only having one driver for so many races. Williams pretty commanding, solid in third. As we take a look at some driver quotes then, Rob Miller saying, enjoyed that but annoyed at myself for making silly mistakes. Happy for a podium and congrats to Mark. Going to be tight for second in the championship. Dave is now officially the LOA champion and well deserved. Gavin saying, congratulations Dave on winning season 2 of the league. Too consistent and fast for us all. And Dave himself, LOA championship baby, where's the trophy? So, a fantastic, brilliant drive as expected from the limit of Adhesion as we took our first trip to Spa-Francorchamps. Looking forward to racing there next season. And our final race of the season then, we are heading back to Suzuka, but we will be racing on the Suzuka West layout with a tricky little chicane as you come out of the hairpin, so that will be quite interesting. A new challenge for all the drivers, so I'm sure everyone will be hard at work testing for that in the next few days. So a reminder that you can find Jim's work at medium.com, where he writes about F1. You can find him also on Instagram at Jim on F1, and don't forget to check out Jim on F1 on YouTube and his satirical series The Week That Was in F1. And you can find us at the limitofadhesion.com, Limit of Adhesion Facebook page. Don't forget to like and subscribe our videos and come say hi to us on Discord. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed that race as much as I did. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like and subscribe as I say. See you next time. Bye bye.